Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Podcast of Stuff, episode 58. It has been a little bit.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Also, I want to tag out there. I said we'd be starting in 5 minutes, and we started exactly 5 minutes after that post.
Nice.
I'm proud of myself.
Also, just of note, last Wednesday, even though at the end of the podcast previously I said we weren't going to have a podcast, Ralph, at like 10 o'clock, I'm in Texas. He's like, yo, why isn't the server up? He's like,
oh my goodness.
like, we're not doing a podcast. Why? RTX.
What?
Oh! As Ralph does, he
I'm not going to lie to you. Tuesday night after getting home from work, Wednesday morning, essentially, it was a really, really rough night. So I just, I got home late, sat on my computer and just, vegged out. So when I woke up, I forgot.
in Ralph's thoughts,
everything.
the only thing that could make my day better is to record the podcast.
No,
Hey, Mike, is this? No, not having a podcast. Oh.
No, I'm literally
Single
thinking to
tier.
myself, I'm like, okay, cool, podcast day. Like, my day yesterday sucked. Let's go have fun, laugh, and make fun of everybody and do stupid shit. And I'm like, hey, Mike, why is it? I set that, and then Versus is like, oh, I'm about to board my plane, tomorrow. And I'm like, plane to where? And then you respond, can't podcast. I'm like, wait, why? Versus then literally sends me this, and I told you. He's like, yeah, I think Mike's heading out tomorrow too. And I'm like, oh my god, it's RTX. And you respond with RTX. And I'm like, fuck! How did I forget? And I was like, oh yeah.
Because you're you.
Because I'm insanely jealous, and I chose to block that shit the fuck out.
It's not even that. You're you.
Fuck off. It's not. That wasn't even a matter of, oh, I just spaced out and forgot. It was just.
That wouldn't
I
be
had-
surprising, though. I mean, DA, you're with me, right? That wouldn't be surprising.
Hey,
Oh no, it wouldn't be. But this
not
wasn't
it-
one of
not
those
in the least.
I forgot this was even said. It was just my brain was in the off mode for everything. That was the day I was like, okay, I'm gonna get my haircut, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. I just sat on my computer all at once,
$55 haircut.
Oh.
I'm not Mike.
I-
I'm not Mike.
Versus, jokingly
2
gave
months
me some
appointment.
shit on that. Like he said he would, so you know what? I respect. He's a man of his word. But he just, as he, gets into the apartment, he's, comes up to me, looks at my hair, and he's like, not worth $15. I'm like, oh, fuck you, sir. he's like, I'm joking. I'm just like, you know what? Fine, touche. You kept your word. Douche. But, so...
I'm kind of sad that BG's not here. I want to talk about something.
Well, he's at a concert right now, I guess, from what I heard. Which they played the, I guess, the Hello Hello song. But, so, DA, over the course of the weekend, sent us a text. So, should I go first or should you go first?
Are we doing this without BG?
I guess we can wait for your story because I have other topics I can go over.
Yeah.
Is
So-
he gonna be here all tonight or no?
DA story time really should be all 4 of us.
Oh,
I don't know.
it's a full
We could somebody could easily ask him. I don't know.
it's a full story then.
It is a one mid-size story and 4 small stories.
Okay.
A lot happened this week.
Okay. I have a full list of all the shit that I did too, so I mean I can go over all that. Ralph, if you could text BG asking if he's going to be
I'm
here.
actually doing it now.
So I will go over. Actually, I'll go over the week before too, just because some fun stuff happened the weekend prior. So the weekend before RTX, I actually went home to visit my buddy who's having his first child coming up. So we threw him a diaper party. And for those people that don't know what the hell a diaper party is, because I didn't know until a year or two ago,
I never heard of it until you brought it up on your Facebook.
it is basically the male equivalent of a baby shower, just way more fucking casual. Basically, just all of the father-to-be and any friends that they invite come over. The charge of entry is a box of diapers, and then you just do stuff. Whatever. It's just basically you're hanging out, but you got to bring some diapers. We ended up just going to a couple bars.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I said, no, I was just making like sounds of mild disquiet. I don't understand, so it's just whatever.
Well,
Don't mind me.
it's mostly for good friends. Diapers are fucking expensive, and you have to buy a shit ton of them. So it's just helping out your friend who's about to have a kid.
Gotcha.
But we went to just got some food at this one bar in the Cleveland area. But then we went to the 16-bit that opened up in Lakewood near Cleveland. A little nicer than the Columbus one, admittedly. A little jelly. However, the funny stuff actually kind of happened to me. So we're just at the bar, hanging out, just shooting the shit. And then I feel a tap on my shoulder. I turn around. There's a lady standing there, about our age. And she's like basically gesturing to our entire group. She's like, who's single here? Of you guys, who's single? So my buddy, obviously having a kid, is married. My other buddy, Alex, has a kid. I believe is married or is going to be marrying his significant other. And then my other buddy, Pete, had a long-standing girlfriend that he was about to move in with. So, like, by a large margin, I was the only single person.
Yeah, that sounds about fucking right.
So, I'm just like, well, me. So, they pull me over. It is a bachelorette party. And they apparently had these, like, scratch-off cards that had a whole bunch of challenges that they had to do. So, this girl had a scratch-off card to find a single guy in the bar and share a drink with him. And it's like you had to cross arms or something, and while you no, that's the next thing. So it's like you share a drink with them, and she's like, "Here, I have a drink here. You get the normal straw. I have the penis straw." I'm like, "Well, great. I was hoping so. Like, I was hoping that was the case." So like, shared the drink. It was like, yeah, and then like the bride just like, "Okay, I have to lock arms with a single guy." I was like, "Okay, lock arms, whatever, cool." And then so then it was just like, said bye, did like just a curtsy bow. And then went back and was hanging out with my friends.
What a fruit.
And then...
Fare thee well, milady.
Yes, indeed.
I wonder why he's single.
Then...
Madame.
10, 15 minutes later, I see one of them, like, come right by me, slap a piece of paper down, walk away. I turn around. It says, "Do you like me? Yes or no?" And I turn around. There's, like, fucking 10 women there. It's like... Well,
there's only one real fucking answer, Mike.
It's like, I fucking joked around with them, so I put maybe question mark. I grabbed a pen, and I'm like, all right, until I get some actual answers on who wrote this, I have a dumb joke answer. And so it's just playful banter. And then the one girl had another scratch-off card, and hers was drink a guy's drink from between his legs. And I'm like, I don't care, I'll fucking do it. She's like, I have a beer over there. She's like, okay. So I go, sit in the stool, put my beer there. She has her penis straw.
Of course.
Of course, and drinks some of my beer from my cup in my lap. And it was just like, okay, cool. And then I go back, and then about another 10 minutes later, I get another tap. It was the girl who originally talked to me. And she goes, "Do you have a tight butt?" I'm like, what?
Going a little too far now.
She's like, "Do you have tight buns?" It's like, I have these stickers. I need to give one. It's either tight buns or tight guns. So I immediately look at my arms. I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure it's obvious I don't have any guns at all. And I don't know if I have tight buns.
Mike. The last time you landed on your ass, you broke it. You don't. It's a quick, easy answer.
Or maybe it's so tight that it's like cellophane.
And I guess it's that regard, because basically I just said, like, if you guys would like to determine if I have tight buns, then feel free. They're like, you don't mind? I'm like, no. Women touching my butt. Sure. Cool. So that woman and then the bride-to-be felt up my butt, and apparently I was voted that I have tight buns, and I have a sticker to prove it in my room right now.
I can't even process this.
Overall, it was quite a fun time. Those girls were pretty cool. And, the rest of the night was just playing some Smash Bros. And Mario Kart on the N64 that they had there.
Normal hangout stuff.
and other various games. Overall fun time. So that was that weekend. Now, RTX. So,
Insanity ensues.
the flight there starts off with the flight there. It's nothing like terribly bad. I was actually oddly calm about the situation, when I probably shouldn't have been. So, my flight was originally supposed to be from Columbus to Nashville and then Nashville to Austin. So I get to my gate, and I see it's delayed slightly. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. So time's going on. I keep refreshing my flight, and I keep seeing the time go out and out and out and out. And then I finally switch over to my connecting flight, and I notice my arrival time in Nashville is now a half hour beyond my departure time of my second flight. So I was like, well, I'm not making this. So I just kind of casually get up, walk over to there's a line at the, because apparently a lot of people had connecting flights in Nashville. Just went over to the desk, and I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely not making my connecting flight. I just need to get to Austin. I don't really care how you get me there at this point. Just get me to Austin. So they rerouted me through Chicago. I got in an hour later than I was going to. So that ended up not being bad.
No food vouchers?
They got me for Southwest. They got me better boarding priority. So there's no assigned seat for Southwest. You get boarded. Basically, there's an A group, a B group, and a C group. I was originally at the end of B. They put me between A and B. So I got like full
semi-preferential seating.
Yeah, which is not bad.
I got a food voucher.
Yes, you did. We will get to that at some point, either today or
next
week.
BG says he's not going to be back in time.
Okay, so next week will be DA story time.
His concert just ended. He says he might not be home until like 11:30. I said we started late, so he might.
But DA story would probably take the majority of a podcast.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll say that. Austin was hot as shit this year. Like the last.
Isn't it always hell?
It's hot, but it's usually not like humid as like I'm used to. Because like I've been to Florida and Ohio during the summers can get pretty humid just because of the lakes. It was humid as shit, and it was 100 degrees. I feel
like every time any of the RT people like tweet something, it's like a picture of like the weather in Austin, and it's like 102 in depth. So
yeah, it was humid as shit this year. So that was the thing. I actually got in my car today when I was leaving from work. I'm like, man, it's really hot in here. I turn on my car, and then my internal thermometer says 99 degrees. I'm like, oh, it's like I'm in Austin again. This feels very similar. So get in late that night. Next day, go through all my Guardian stuff, meet my team, and was talking with a bunch of them. And one of the guys that was in my panel room this year, Steve, works for Blizzard, which was really cool. So I was like, yeah, I work for Blizzard. I'm like, oh, what do you do? He's like, I can't say. I was like, oh, like, you really can't even, like, give me specifics of just, like, what you do around your job? He's like, no, no, I can't. Like,
that's bullshit.
That's a pretty heavy NDA you're under. He's like, uh-huh. But,
he might be working for a new project.
Probably, or just future Overwatch stuff. I don't really know.
No, because how that goes, because I have another friend, I've heard of the game industry as well. How it goes is if it's an what is it? Unspoken about, like the fucking word for that. Like if it's a new IP that nobody knows anything about, they can't even bring up they're working as like a game producer or a programmer or a designer.
Yeah.
They're just an employee, essentially, as listed until the game is formally announced to stockholders.
But it was funny because we were at lunch during that day. We're all just eating, and I see him like look at his phone. And he goes, "Oh, I can finally talk about this now." We're like, oh, what's going on? He's like, oh, Doomfist just got announced. He's like, I've known about Doomfist for like 4 months now, and like what he's gonna be and all that.
Everyone is pissed at that.
Just because it's not Terry Crews.
Because it's not Terry fucking Crews. Yeah, everyone is mad. I'm like, the character is dope. It's insane. But everyone is now mad at Blizzard because it's not Terry fucking Crews.
I don't care too much about that.
Because you don't play Overwatch. You have no stake.
Oh, that was heavily apparent at RTX, everyone and their mother played Overwatch, and I was just on the outside looking in, just like,
So the game is awesome.
I
You're
should
just a
probably
fucking
start
loser.
playing this game.
Yes, you should. Get it on PC and play with me.
I might have to, because I want to play it for Let's Brew. I might have to get it for PS4 just because I can't record shit on PC right now.
Why?
My frame rate drops to like,
No. The Nvidia has Shadow Play.
I've tried it. I've tried it.
Really?
Yes.
That worked on my laptop.
Anything
before it died.
that is kind of graphically intensive, just bogs.
How? Your computer is equipped with my laptop, dude.
No, it's at this point it's severely outdated.
No, I'm saying my old laptop from fucking 3.5 years ago. It was the same.
Severely outdated. But anyways, so went through
Invest
all.
in your technology, for the love of God.
So that Thursday, so get through all the Guardian business. So I side quest, which is the thing that I mentioned, basically do all these events outside of RTX. They originally were called RT side quest, but they're trying to spread to other conventions now, so they are just side quest. They had a charity auction. So they had a bunch of fan-made content, some stuff donated by Rooster Teeth, and various other things for charity for auction, and then all proceeds went to children's hospitals around the Austin area. So go in there. There's a bunch of different stuff, plushies, art, what have you. But two things basically caught my eye. There was a limited edition poster that I'd never seen before, but apparently it was limited edition from the RT podcast. It's like a thick cardboard. Really nice looking. Had the signatures of Bernie, Gus, Barbara, Gav, whatever. So that caught my eye, and then there's this like awesome Dungeons and Dragons like DM starter kit. That like had like a limited edition campaign guide and a bunch of a bunch of different dice like coasters. Basically, had a bunch of different.
Based off of a RT Rooster Teeth shit, or
Nope, just acquired and donated.
D&D. Okay,
Yep.
Cool.
So basically, those are the two things I started my bids on, and did my initial bids, and then basically hadn't eaten dinner, and they had all these like hors d'oeuvres and stuff in the middle, but I didn't want to be the first person to go get food, so I was just kind of waiting.
Oh my God.
So after a while,
No, I feel him on that. You don't want
that.
to be.
Food's there. You go get it.
Nah. You
Oh
go get
my-
it after someone else
yeah,
does.
someone
No.
else. I saw these two other guys like
Fucking
basically pop that
cowards.
cherry, and I'm just like,
Fucking
okay.
Cowards.
So I'm like, okay, I'll go. I'll go now. So I'm like, I was waiting for someone else to go grab food too, and go grab my food. Turn around, no one else grabbed food besides those two guys. So I just like went over and like, so do you guys mind if I join you? I don't really feel like eating alone. They're like, yeah, sure. So I started talking to them for a bit. Turns out they worked for Rooster Teeth. They are in the animation department. One was in animation, one was in the game department. So just got talking to them. One of them's name is Jordan Battle. The other is Kevin. I don't remember his last name off the top of my head, but he was the game development guy. And he also was working on stuff that he couldn't tell me about. But the animator...
Probably Ruby.
The animator, Jordan Battle... No. Like, he could talk if he was working on Ruby. And then they had a game that just came out called Battle Sloths. He's working on something completely different that they're going to be announcing in a few months. But Jordan Battle is working on Camp, as well as he's now a co-director of Rooster Teeth Animated Adventures. That got announced over the weekend. But talked with him a bunch, and basically was like, hey, like, I know I have at least like one animation. Like, told him I was Guardian. I'm like, I know I have one animation panel in my room. Are you going to be there? He's like, I might be. I don't know. I'm like, well, if for some reason you are in the area, just stop by panel room 16. Just say hey. He's like, yeah, sure. Get to that later on. Ended up talking to a few of the other animators and met this guy named Jack, who I know I gave him the card with like our information and stuff, so he might listen to this at some point. He's definitely the most Texan that I have met in my entire life.
That took a few tries.
Yeah. Very southern drawl. Like, it almost sounded like he was like a little bit of Bama, but like he would probably stab you in the gut if you told him that.
So someone like me would have done that instantly. Gotcha.
Yes, and you wouldn't have your spleen anymore.
You forget who the fuck you're talking to. That's not happening day of the week.
He had a pocket knife on him at all times.
I'm
Anyways,
not
but very nice guy. Ended up talking. He's like very into like not competitive Pokemon, but like very much into the stats and like in-depth Pokemon raising, which I don't do, but I find it fascinating.
I have a few friends that do that. I have to hear about it all the fucking time.
But we talked about that for a bit, and then he was talking. He was in the he's in the Navy, and he was talking with one of the other guys who's in the Army, so they were jabbing back and forth of their service time. But going through the night, I was going back, raising my bids here and there. And then it got to the point where I had to choose because it was getting too high to keep going for both. And I was leaning towards the D&D thing. But I go over to the D&D thing, and I think my bid at that point was like in the mid 100s. Someone had bid $600 on it.
Whoa.
I was like, what the fuck? Fuck that. Poster it is.
Was it Versus?
No, Versus wasn't there. It was a joint. 3 people all went in on it. But so I was going to the poster, and then I had the poster basically for about a half hour at 150. And I was the leading bid for the entire time. And then I was talking with Jack for a while, and go up to the poster. It's like a minute left in the silent auction. So I'm just like, I go over, still at 150. I'm like, okay. At around like 45 seconds, a guy comes up, bids 200 right in front of me.
Snipes you.
Now.
eBay junk.
Now. If I were sober, I probably would have said, you know what? Good on you, man. Good job.
Oh, no.
But I was drunk.
Oh.
And I am a competitive motherfucker. So it's like,
no.
fuck that shit. I wait until there's 15 seconds left.
Oh,
Bid
no.
220.
I was about to say, if you would have bid 201.
350!
And basically, right as I put the pen down, hit 0. And I was just like, yes. And then fucking Jack, like anytime, because like people could still technically bid, but anytime like someone came up, he pulled out the pocket knife. So he's like scaring people off. And then he wrote a bunch of shit like around my name, like this guy won, like all this shit. And so yeah, I got this poster for $220. Went to the kids, but you know, in hindsight, I'm like, that is a lot to pay for a fucking poster. Nice poster, but would not do that normally. But I'm glad the money's going to, you know, sick children. So that was that. Now, as I mentioned, I got a little drunk at the charity auction.
Of course you did.
So, you know, I was, a guardian, volunteer staff, in good graces with the rest of the volunteer staff. I, got back, you know, chugged some water, but as I was, like, laying in bed, I'm like, you are drunker than you realize right now, Michael. You have made a mistake.
Yeah.
So I set my alarm way earlier than I normally would have. I woke up. I was hungover as shit. Headache.
What day was this? Was this
Friday.
Saturday now? This is Friday.
Yeah. Hungover as shit.
Oh.
Headache.
Yes.
You know, nauseous. The whole shebang of just feeling like death. Very lethargically get into the shower. I will say that I didn't want to get out of that shower. It was like the shower, I'm like, this feels so good. And I know as soon as I walk out of the shower, I will be stepping into hell again. Got prepared. Probably shat like 3 times. Just because I drank mostly beer, and you know, Ralph, if you know, when you drink a lot of beer, you get the beer shits.
I only get the whiskey shits.
I get the beer shits like something fierce.
Oh,
So you know, you poop like
a lot of whiskeys.
3 times in the span of an hour. You get some rash going on down there.
Oh my! What is going on?
Not
Mike?
pleasant. So I make
No,
my-
Mike, that's just you.
Mike. Oh yeah, I get every hangover symptom under the sun if I haven't drank in a while. So I head downstairs. I'm like, I'm just gonna go to Starbucks, get an orange juice and like a cookie, and like I should be good. I should be good. So I like round the corner, like once I get off the elevator, and like just go down this little hallway, and there's a Starbucks. But then I see a couch. I'm like, I'm gonna sit on that couch. Sit on the couch and just kind of was like looking at my phone, and then I got like a big wave of nausea. I'm like, this is too close. Go to the bathroom, just kind of stand next to the toilet for a little while, like deciding. I'm like, am I going to? Am I not going to? Am I going to? Am I not going to?
Let's decide, buddy. Let's get this in or out. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Got stuff to do.
Then I decided, I'm like, you know what? I gotta poo again. So I pooed again. But then I, after that, basically, like, when I walked up to Starbucks after that, like, I was feeling way better. And that was about 10 minutes before I was supposed to get to the con. And so, like, 5 minutes till I got to the con, still felt, not great, but nowhere near as bad. And basically, I've found with my hangovers, about 10 to 15 minutes after I wake up, I have about an hour of just straight suffering. Of just, these are the decisions that you made last night, all hitting you in this hour.
Live with them.
Exactly.
Learn from them.
Yeah, just like, this is your life right now. But, so I was like, a little lethargic and what have you, but for the rest of the day, pretty fine. Saw the Ruby panel on that Friday.
Oh, the stream. That was an epic glitch.
Oh, what happened during the stream?
Oh, you don't know?
No.
You know how the Weiss thing was supposed to be like for attendees only?
Oh, they didn't cut it?
They forgot to cut. So we see Weiss standing in front of that giant snowflake with the music playing and her putting her ponytail in the back, and people were losing their shit.
Well, so I saw that.
It wasn't the whole thing. It cut out after like 20 seconds. I don't know how long it actually was.
It's going to be out relatively soon.
But how long was it? Give or
It was
take.
about the same length as the red trailer.
Okay, yeah.
And they're going to have a black and a yellow trailer leading up till October 12th when Volume 5 comes out.
Yeah.
So I basically stayed up until that just because I didn't care about the Q&A. Just went back up to my room and worked the rest of the day. But apparently someone asked a question which actually led to some fan art by one of... What?
Whoa.
Oh my goodness.
DA.
That was my mistake.
Are you not going to follow Evo ever again?
I terribly apologize for that. I have shamed myself.
Well,
I must
well,
commit seppuku.
well, hold on. Now that
Stupid
Mike's interrupted
freaking
anyway,
Facebook auto playing.
Versus wants me to share something with everybody, and now is, I guess, the best time. Here is the mock-up of our faces for his comic he's doing about us.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, click this.
Let's see.
Mike, put this on the stream.
I don't know how I feel about that.
My chin isn't that fucking pointy.
Personally, it's not pointy enough.
Fucking Dorito Mike.
I just noticed your fucking eye.
I hate that he got the correct eye. I wish he would have got the wrong one so I could correct him.
Put that on the stream, Mike, for the love of
I will. I'll post it around the end because I have a picture already lined up for something in for later.
Boy, he sure did capture Pro's anger and hopelessness. Nothing will ever be okay.
Nothing will ever be okay. Oh, that's lovely.
Just our faces. There's DA, the neutral one. Mike, the
Everything's
overly positive
fine.
one, Yeah, everything's fine. There's BG, the meh, and then there's me. I could stab you and not feel a thing.
I am the only one with a smile. Just a stupid shit-eating grin. Oh, I love it. Oh,
This actually does perfectly encapsulate us.
I'm looking
I'm
forward to this
tearing.
versus. Okay,
I'm tearing.
where the fuck was I? Ruby panel.
Oh,
During the
no.
panel, during the Q&A, I guess someone asked if Yang's new RoboArm had a vibrate function.
There's already art of this.
Oh yeah, it's by one of the main someone who works for Rooster Teeth now, which I'll get to that announcement in a bit. Brian is entering my room right now. He's giving me a nice hug. Hey Brian.
You got a tight butt, bro.
I love you too, buddy.
I just gotta know.
What'd you say, DA?
He made a tight butt joke.
Ah.
Missed it.
Apparently Brian is a drunk as fuck right now. So, yeah, that artist is now working for Rooster Teeth. One of the things, I think it may have been Friday or Saturday, Rooster Teeth's making a mecha show.
Genlock, right?
Yeah, Gray is writing and directing it, and that artist, Dishwasher something or other on DeviantArt, I've been following his work for a while. He makes some really good shit. He's the concept artist. There we go. For it, contract concept artist for it. And he's made some sick looking mecha, so I'm actually excited to see what comes of this. So that is end of Friday. That is when I go see Spider-Man, and that's where I told Versus, I was telling them before the podcast, he was about to go see it, the movie with me, and then I realized that it was going to basically take up his entire VIP party time, and I told him to fuck me, you know, later in the night, but, you know, but go to the VIP party. And, he had some fun with that. He was, when I got back, he was, like, basically rolling on the floor, just of drunk bliss. It was a fun sight.
I was informed that when he returned from this party, he saw you as he was closing the door to the shower. So it was like one of those high mic, bye mic scenarios.
He was still fully clothed.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah. It was just like, and it was like we had one of those like really big slidey door things. I feel like we had one of those at the hotel we stayed at for last YomaCon, where it's like it wasn't like a door, it just slid.
Yeah.
One of the hotels that we stayed at. But yeah, it was just like, hi, Mike. Bye, Mike. I was like, okay. You seem to have a good night.
Oh, he was.
I had a terrible night.
But,
he was fucking obliterated.
Before that,
obliterated.
so I took a Uber, or the Uber equivalent in Texas, to the movie. And on the way back, however, in Austin, they have this service called Cars to Go. They have it in Columbus, too, but I have not used it here. But I went in it for the first time, which, for those of you who don't know, it's basically like super temporary rental smart cars, those little two-seater things.
Uh-huh.
I can honestly say, without a doubt, I have never felt closer to death in my entire life than driving one of those fucking things. It was
Really?
nightmarish.
Just sweating.
So,
No.
A, you're in this little fucking box of just inches of, like, whatever between you and the rest of, you know, other car in world. The brake pedal on this thing was like a bus. It was, like, horizontal,
Whoa.
like, very bulky,
Whoa.
and I could never get the pressure right, so I had a lot of, like, herky-jerky, like brakes. So, like, every time I did that, I'm thinking, the car behind me is going to hit me. The car behind me is going to hit me. And, you know, there's nothing between me and that car besides, like...
This plastic-made car.
Yeah. Then
I
the...
A bike could hit you and you'd get whiplash.
Yeah,
You're not far off.
Then the car itself, like, the transmission was probably going a little bit, so every time the gear shifted in automatic, it fucking jerked. So that as well as, like... And then I'm driving in a city that I've never driven in before. So it's just this combination of just like, please just get me back to my hotel. Just get me home. Just get me home.
I just want to live.
And then, so I told my coworkers this yesterday. And they're like, oh, no. You wouldn't like crash or anything. They're designed to roll. So the car would just push you. And they're basically just giant roll cages. I'm like, that doesn't make me feel better. So I get hit, and then I fly like 40 feet because this thing weighs nothing. And I weigh nothing. I'm not contributing to this weight at all. So it'll be a very long time before I drive one of those things again. It was terrible. It was honestly terrible. Fuck those things. Huh. So, Saturday, which I knew was going to be and was our busiest day. We had some bigger name. We had a smaller panel room in comparison to last year, which I was in one of the biggest, and we actually had like a queue room, which we could line people up in. And so one of the things that we had in our room this year was the cosplay contest. So in the morning, a bunch of people came, signed up, and like the judges did their initial judging about like asking questions and like, you know, how long did it take you to build this costume, yada yada, what would you have done differently, stuff like that. So by far the biggest line we had the entire convention, and our line was in the hallways, and we turned away, conservatively speaking, 200 plus people from this
Not shocked.
panel.
I'm not surprised. Yeah.
Well,
Cosplay contest should always be in the biggest room or one of the biggest.
I was just, for a show like RTX, the biggest room is the expo hall of the first RTX in the convention. It seats like 2,000 people.
That's too much.
Yeah. But the room that they had it in last year, which had its own queue room, which was actually right next to the room that I was in, apparently it didn't fill up, so they put it in a smaller room this year. Bad choice.
Mistake was made.
So, I had to deal with this line, and like basically like how the room was, it's like, so there's a door, the lineup is basically going along the long way of the panel room, then it cuts across the back end of the panel room, but against the wall around the corner from it was a bunch of fire safety exits. So those had to be clear. And then there's some like also fire safety equipment that also had to be clear. So I'm basically making sure people don't get in front of the exits, yada, yada, yada. And then the judges wanted all of the cosplay contestants, which there were 93 of, to also be lined up outside because they wanted them to come in one at a time and, you know, do their runway walk and posing and what have you. So I had to manage these two lines, keeping people separate, keeping the cosplayers in order because they were in a specific order, and all this stuff. And I have the attendees, I have to thank you because they were very much compliant with all of the directions that I gave them. They were very nice. They were thanking me for being a guardian and what have you, and they were very lovely. I feel like I've heard other horror stories at other conventions that just, like, people aren't as nice. So, that was the most hectic day for sure. Cosplay contest went cool, and the guy that won it, I wanted to won it. Like, got best in show. It was, his base costume was essentially Twilight Princess Link. However, on top of it, he had like a Princess Mononoke wolf hood that was like the Wolf Link pelt, and like all of these other adornments of like wolf pelt and like all this like just all this added detail, and it looked fucking awesome. And then there was a Dark Souls guy who won some armor stuff, a Palutena who won. There's this Ruby Rose cosplayer who basically was Ruby Rose. She sounded like her, she acted like her, she looked the part, and basically was in character for the entire weekend. And and she had variants of her costume. She had a swimsuit Ruby Rose, she had regular Ruby Rose, and like, it was kind of nuts. she went full tilts to her cosplay, so respect to her. There's also a Captain...
Did you see the Borderlands Ruby?
I did not. There's a lot of cosplay that I did not see.
Facebook, a lot, because and she had like the whole like 3D like cell shading things, like, oh, it looked insane.
Yeah, there's a lot of cosplay that I definitely missed just because I was not like very far out and away from the main convention area, but I was, not close to like the main expo hall. Oh, actually, Saturday, that was when I went to the expo hall. I basically got lunch in the expo hall and then walked around it. And, of course, Shark Robot was there, the place that I always buy my shirts. And they had, I got an awesome Metroid Prime shirt. They had a cool Breath of the Wild shirt. And they had this shirt that I've been wanting for a really long time. It's Nina and her dog doing the fusion dance.
Oh my god.
That one.
Yeah.
I bought that immediately. Every person that I showed it to were like, "No, how could you?" It's like, oh, this is what I wanted. It's like, you're like, too soon. I'm like, it will always be too soon. This is why it works.
Facts. Cool.
But I got that. There's this vendor who sold these holographic posters that were really fucking cool. Actually, on my
The
Twitter,
cellophane ones that like shimmer when you shake it.
it like will shift the image.
Yeah.
So like for instance, I got 2 posters from there. I got a Zelda one where in one image it's like Link standing in the middle of Hyrule Field. In one image he's wearing his typical green tunic, and then you shift it to the left, and then he's in his champion tunic from Breath of the Wild.
Ah.
And then I got one of Samus where in one view she's wearing her suit, and then in the other view it's her Zero Suit form of her face.
Ah. Okay.
So like literally holographic. It's really cool. Actually, the banner that I have on my Twitter right now that has like the 2 sides of Gur and then the 2 sides of Saitama,
Yeah.
it's them. They're the ones who make
okay.
those posters. I want to buy more of them. Like, they're just a little pricier.
Oh,
But yeah, I dropped like $100 in the dealer's in the expo hall. There's too much stuff there. And then I also got a shirt and another figurine from the Rooster Teeth store as well. So end of Saturday, I managed to get tickets to the Always Open Happy Hour, which
how was that?
it was a lot of fun. There's a lot more people there than I was thinking there was going to be. But there's quite a few Rooster Teeth personalities that were there. Got to talk to Miles, which I just asked him, I'm like, I just have to ask, man, like, what ether do you get your energy from? Because, like, I could use some of that, in all honesty. He's like, actually, what you don't really know is, like, when we hugged, I'm actually siphoning the energy out of you right now. That's how I get all of my strength, is I just leech off of everyone around me. I'm like, so RTX is just a giant soul siphon for you then. You just get all of your power in one ship, like one go. He's like, yeah, that's pretty much it. Talked to him, talked to Barbara, talked to Aaron Zek, just basically saying how just like I loved her performance in Volume 4, and like just stupid lines I really enjoyed. Just like talked to her about that for a bit. Talked to Tyler Coe, who's like the sports guy at Rooster Teeth, and I went up to him, I'm like, I have a very important question to ask you. He's like, yeah, what's going on? I'm like, so I might respect your answer, but I probably won't like it if it's what I think it's going to be. NBA Finals. Were you rooting for the Cavs or were you rooting for the Warriors? He goes, oh, Cleveland. I'm like, thank you. And we just talked about how basically the competitive balance in the NBA is just utter shit right now, and just talked NBA for a bit, which is fun. And then just walked around. It was at a gay club in Austin, and they're
Two things you don't expect to hear in the same sentence.
what, gay club in Austin?
Gay club in Texas.
Austin is the very tiny liberal dot in the middle of a very conservative ocean. Columbus is the exact same way.
Shocking. That's shocking.
If you knew Austin, you would think otherwise. Austin is very different than the rest of Texas. Very different. And then one of the guys who was there from Rooster Teeth, Texas, his name is Texas, he's like the bartender on the Always Open podcast, if you've watched it before.
Yeah.
Super gay. Funny guy, though. So I'm like going up to get drinks, and then I see him next to me. I'm like, how you doing, sir? He's like, I'm doing fabulous. He's like, okay, like this guy right here in front of you, he's the one. He serves great drinks. He's also got a really big dick. I'm not sure if you like that or not. Just I'm like, I don't like, but
I like one of those.
I'm like, I don't like, but I can respect, you know. So it was a fun little conversation. And then talked to a couple of the attendees and stuff that were there. Actually talked to this one guy at length. He had some Zelda tattoos, so we talked that a bit. Ends up he does graphic design, so I'm going to be contacting him pretty shortly, see if he can work on some designs for us. So I will, that was that. And then basically at the end of, once I got back from the happy hour, there was like another event going on that night, but as soon as I got back to the hotel, I'm like, wow, I'm really tired. So I just passed out pretty early that night. Then Sunday, mostly without a hitch, went and saw the fan service podcast panel. That was pretty good. Then the last panel of our of my guardianship was Game Attack, which is these two guys that broke off from Screw Attack and basically made their own like Let's Play video game-esque channel. They actually filled up the room, which they were actually really surprised about, just because they're a new channel and they don't really know how much of their viewership is, you know, legitimate. So they're happy about that. Both of them, however, were shit-faced. So there's a lot of just dumb shenanigans that, you know, probably on Friday, I think as a guardian, I would have been like, hey guys, can you, like, you know, please calm it down just a teeny bit. But it was the last panel. It's just like, okay, just, you know, as long as nothing super terrible happens. So for the panel guardians, we had these cue cards of like 10 minutes left, 5 minutes left, time is up. So end of the panel comes around, nothing major has happened. We put up the time is up card. And then the one guy, Bolin from Game Attack, he's like, I see that time is up. I was like, no, give me that card. And then one of my fellow guardians jokingly like pretends to run out of the room. And they like were laughing and like, oh, she ran away. And they seem to accept it. And I'm like, okay, that's, you know, I feel like that's the best thing that could have happened for this situation. But then she gives it back to one of my other guardians, and then they take it up to Bolin. I'm like, you know what? I would not have made this decision, but it's beyond my control at this point. And Bolin's just like, who has a pair of scissors? I'm like, this is where I thought this would go. And then someone walks up and puts down a pocket knife. He's like, whoa! How the hell did you get this in here? But then Craig from Game Attack, he just, I guess, just took his keys and just ripped, because the piece of paper was or Xeroxed, so it like could be cut in half. So he just like took his keys, managed to get a rip, and then ripped it in half. It was like, okay. And then panel finally ended. I was like, all right, you know, that ended way better than I thought it was going to.
Yeah.
Then they had the all hands meeting at the end, where, you know, as it basically it has now become a staple that there is this guy every year who cosplays the Grim Reaper, and there's this Deadpool cosplayer that sits outside the big windows near where we all gather and will wave and say hi at us. There's also, which I didn't really know about or quite get until just recently. So there was this ficus. There may have been some rumblings on it on the social medias during RTX. It has its own Twitter account, RT Ficus. One of the main production, like behind the scenes, like physical production manager, Marcus from Rooster Teeth, basically had this ficus. I think it was Sam. And like Sam was just trying to sneak this ficus into a whole bunch of shit from Rooster Teeth. No one ever ended up noticing it, and then they did a couple other things with it, and then they had a scavenger hunt for the Guardians to find the ficus. They kept hiding it in different rooms, and the Guardians had to find it. Well, the tech team, being the tech team, managed to find it first, the first day, but then they put a GPS tracker in the motherfucker.
Wow.
And the pot. So they knew where it was at all time. And then they one-upped it. They put up ficuses. They had other ficuses, and they kept putting them in other rooms to trick other Guardians. And then, so it was just like this whole thing. And then at the end of the convention, and they have an RT Life that I think will come out next week of basically the Guardian stuff at the end. There's a big escalator next to where we were all congregating, and so the head Guardian was like starting to talk, and then everybody starts cheering, and I'm pointing to the right, and I look over, and then coming down the escalator on its own is the ficus. And everyone just starts fucking cheering. And it had a whole bunch of Tech Guardian like lanyard things over it. And then the head Guardian is like, you know what, fuck this. He takes off all the Tech Guardian stuff, puts his Guardian badge on it, and just like, there we go. So, you know, the both head Guardians, or all three head Guardians, and then Matt Hullum gave like their speeches and what have you. And we had some fun with the Deadpool cosplayer outside. And then got to talk with, afterwards, a bunch of the RT staff. I nerded out with basically everyone that's on fan service. Talked manga with Issa for a while. I gave her a recommendation. She gave me a recommendation. Talked with Cole about stuff. Mostly I was like talking to them about My Hero, and most of them aren't completely caught up yet.
Oh.
Cole is caught up with the English release of the manga. He's a good boy. He's, you know, buying like he should. And then Gray and Carrie as well, they are mostly watching the manga. And basically, like, I felt bad afterwards. I'm just like, there's a moment later on with Bakugo. Like, he's my favorite character. There's a moment. That's all I'm going to say. Like, it's fucking amazing. I can't wait for you guys to see it. I talked with them at length, talked to both the head Guardians, said hi to them. Mariel, because I didn't see her. I get to talk to her at the Always Open happy hour. Adam Baird. Or not, Adam Ellis. Sorry, Adam Ellis. And then I actually was talking with Matt Bragg for a bit. I was actually watching him play ARMS for like 15 minutes. Mostly talking Zelda with him. And actually managed to guess the video he was going to be doing for Achievement Hunter in Breath of the Wild, which I will not say.
Oh, cool.
Because I guessed it right, and he just goes, shh. I'm like, yes! But then, after that...
Fucking Zelda nerd.
So, one of the best things that I love about being a Guardian is, in all honesty, the community, the attendees. I feel like I've said this every year, but there are not many fandoms, groups, what have you, that would, in like groups of like 100 or so, stand out in the middle of the 100-degree, humid as shit Austin weather to cheer on every single Guardian that walks out that door. To me, it's incredible every time. It's humbling. It's awesome. Basically, throughout the convention, people would just walk up to me and say, thank you for what you're doing. And it's awesome. Like, this is the only community that I do this for, and I love the RT community. And thank you guys for the love that you gave me. And yeah, doing it every year. Easily at this point. So after that, went to the RTX after party at this bar, Billiards. At the bottom floor was open to all attendees, and then upstairs, SideQuest had their own area. So basically went with Versus, left him downstairs, ditched him. Went upstairs and was walking around, and then I ran into Jordan Battle, the guy I met, RT animator that I met at the charity auction. So I stand right next to him, and he turns over and goes, Mike! So immediately I was flattered that he actually remembered me. He's like, I've been seeing you this entire goddamn weekend. And I kept going, Mike, and it wasn't you. He's like, literally 10 minutes before you got here, I saw someone. I thought I looked at you. I went, Mike. Turn around, it wasn't you. I go, my man. I meant my man. That's what I meant to say, my man.
Wow.
Leading credence to the fact that we constantly say you are one generic looking dude.
Oh,
Yeah.
Generic dude with a generic name. There was a couple people who I met that weekend.
$20 haircut.
A couple people that I met that weekend. They're like
triangle face.
Yeah, triangle face.
Dorito head.
A bunch of people were like,
sticking.
I'm like, so like I would say bye to people, and they're like, "You were Matt?" I'm like, "Close. That is like generic white boy name number 2, Mike." They're like, "Yeah, okay."
Yep.
I'm like, that happens all the time. Do not worry. But talked with Jordan for a bit, and you know, he had to go take care of his dog, but you know, shut the shit up. You know, we had a good conversation. I was happy he remembered me, and you know, hopefully that is a friendship that I've made.
Yay.
Went downstairs. Versus was trying to preach the gospel of Rooster Teeth to some random Australian that he met. Because I went downstairs, he was talking to the guy, and he's like talking about like Red vs. Blue season 1. I'm like, why would he be talking about season 1 to somebody? And then he told me, he's just like, I'm trying to be a good ambassador. Look around the downstairs area, met up with some of my other fellow Guardians, and then Adam Baird, the head of RT Tech, shows up. So I talked to him for a bit, and I told him about how I tried to bullshit my way to a job at Rooster Teeth. Which I feel like I've told on the podcast before, of the application that is basically a computer application to then submit your job application to Rooster Teeth. And Ralph, your mic went dead. Just FYI. I'm not sure if you are typing something or not. DA, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. But I just talked with him for a bit as far as like Canadian, sorry. That was the guy that Versus was talking to. Talked to him, shot the shit for a bit. Went back upstairs. And basically the upstairs bar had like a big area that had some pool tables and some shuffleboard, and then there's a little side area that had a Wii with Wii Bowling, and then they had a PS4 set up with Injustice 2. So played that for a bit, and I was trying to remember my dark side combos. It took me a little bit. And I started kicking ass, and I was happy. I was like, ha ha.
Turn your head, BG's there.
Yeah.
So it's come to this, eh, Mike?
What? I wouldn't be surprised if within the next few years RTX starts throwing like legit gaming tournaments and stuff. I could see it. Actually, between that and a couple other places, I actually talked a lot of like about tech jobs when I was there. There's these people that I ran into. I was wearing was it my One Punch Man shirt? I think I was wearing my One Punch Man shirt, and they like pointed it out and liked it and started talking. And that the one guy worked for Under Armour doing mobile app development, and then the girl did front end development for another company who I can't remember. But I just started talking tech with them and just a bunch of random different things. Then you know, ended the night. Last night there, bittersweet. Slept in a bit. The final thing that I did was the last side quest event. They had a Monday after party thing at this place called Pinballs, which is this arcade chain in Austin. And basically kind of like a Dave & Buster's with that particular Pinballs is BYOB. You know, the Dave & Buster's, they serve alcohol and food.
Really? I didn't know.
Was that sarcastic or no?
Yeah, that was sarcasm.
Okay. Just, hey, some people may not have heard of Dave & Buster's before. Anyways, I managed to find the game that had the biggest ticket payout, which is this Yahtzee game. And at one point, I was on a chain and I got like 1,200 tickets.
Jeez!
I managed to get, I think about 2,000, just going back and forth, and then playing just other fun games and stuff. But, and of course, you know, even with 2,000 tickets, there wasn't that much that I could get. However, as I was looking around at things to grab, I saw something that immediately caught my eye. And I'm going to be transitioning to it now on the stream, so it should be popping up in a second. It's this pair of sunglasses that has a hanging mustache and a Luigi hat.
Ah!
And I was just like, oh, I have to fucking get that. And then once I got home, I'm like, there needs to be a stupid fucking picture I take with this. So it should be popping up on the stream any second now. But got that, and then like some shitty little notebook. But while I was there,
oh god, Mike. Oh god, Mike. It hurt.
Oh boy, I was to say go home, but you were probably home when you took the pictures.
Yep. I gotta walk to my room a little bit, you know.
I'm
Mike.
just gonna sign out now.
But so while I was there, I met another tech person, a developer from Alchemy Labs. They work on VR games, particularly the Job Simulator games, as well as the Rick and Morty VR games.
Ooh.
And was talking to him for a while, and ends up he's actually like the lead game designer and like level designer. So I once he told me that, I'm like, oh, so you're the motherfucker I'm trying to outsmart every time I play that goddamn game. Of like, what did they not think of? He's like, yeah, that's pretty much me. So like just talking with him and just like how he went through like all of that, just because like to me those games are brilliant of like what a VR game could be and just trying to outsmart the player. And so that was like really cool getting to talk with him on that. And that's really about it. Like the only other thing that like was dumb was when I was at the Austin airport, the security line that I was in. Apparently they had a new person training, so I was just like standing with my shoes off for like 10 minutes before someone came and relieved them. And that's, yeah. Overall, besides the hangover, which is my own goddamn fault, fantastic trip. Next year, RTX is going to be in August, so it's going to be even hotter. So that's going to be fun. Not really.
Yeah.
But, yeah, as far as, like, things I wanted to do, each year RTX has, like, a special room that they do. They did the Five Nights at Freddy's experience. They did, oh, shit, what did they do 2 years ago? Fuck. I don't remember. But this year they had the Fake Age Crew GTA Heist escape room. And it was right next to our panel room. However, that line was basically a 4-hour wait the entire goddamn every day.
I'm not shocked at all. Yeah.
And I saw glimpses of it. Looked fun as crap. I want to do an escape room in general. I haven't done one before.
I've done a few of them. It depends on what you do. Like where you go.
Matsuri-kan
Some of them are
has
just not fun.
Oh, Matsuri-kan has one.
Matsuri-kan has
Wait,
one.
Matsuri has an
We
escape room?
totally need to do it.
Okay. If we have time.
What was that?
I said
No,
if we.
DA, I couldn't hear him.
He said we should totally do it.
Oh.
It was like if we have time, just because we'll be busy as fuck.
You nerds.
Yeah, that's really
Oh
it.
God, Monster's gonna be a fucking show.
Yeah, with Genlock or Genlock, whatever the hell you want to call it. The
It's Genlock.
Ruby, Genlock, the Ruby stuff.
That Weiss trailer, from what we saw of it, the graphics looked like they jumped up another degree.
It looked about the same.
No, that shading looked a metric fuck ton better, and the movement was a lot less stiff than before.
That depends on the animator.
Yeah, true, but
I can tell you right now,
seemed
that's
very
probably
smooth.
the same animator who animated the Red trailer and the Crow versus Tyrion fight.
Gotcha.
Like I said,
I hope they let that guy in charge, more, because my God,
well,
my God,
it's one dude, I think, at this point, so it's kind of hard. Like he's probably worked on that Crow and Tyrion
I
fight.
put it under the computer. You could not simply place it back when you were done. Weren't you off of work that day?
And
You were
there's
doing
BG.
Yep,
nothing.
BG's off.
You couldn't just
Yep.
unplug and put it back. I responsibly put it there. And you, like a sacrist, went, ah!
Hold on, get BG over here. Bring the picture
No,
back
we're
up.
not.
DA, get him over here. Show him the picture.
Oh, I will put it up on stream right now.
Yes.
Versus his sketch is for the comic that he's doing for us.
Let's see, where did you go?
Why?
It's unneededly accurate.
Immediately. Oh, that's Wonder Bar. Y'all done?
There it is.
No, we're still in the podcast.
Oh.
Let's get that centered.
Evo next
And
week.
there it
Check
is.
out.
Can anybody guess if there's anybody else in the chat? It looks like it's just versus. Can you guess who is
The
who?
whole
Throw it in
podcast.
there. It's not up yet, but yeah. Come on. This is amazing.
Like your hair, like I feel like Ralph's hair, like you tend to go like the slick back route now.
Yeah.
So you could like make it a little longer and like have it curled backwards.
I haven't had the haircut that short since I was a teenager, so.
Just the fucking shit smart grin. I love it.
Sure. DA and BG and myself. It's so perfect. It's amazing.
But yes, RTX, a lot of fun. I have a couple of things I could talk about, but we're pretty much at an hour, so.
Yeah, we're well over an hour.
I
We're
have
actually
something
just over
really
an hour.
quickly that I wanted to talk about.
Okay,
Okay.
go.
I read, not finished, but I read a particular manga that young Michael recommended. to me.
Oh, you read it!
Oh my goodness! And it was shocking how just nothing it is,
Yep.
and how freaking just generic, and it just starts out with this forlorn dude like, oh, why am I living? And then the old man literally goes, this must be destiny. You don't do that.
Did you see the line that I talked about of go investigate the war?
No, I only got up to like chapter 5.
Oh, you
So
gotta keep
I
going!
am finished for now.
You gotta
It's
keep going!
mind-numbing. I'm like, I don't know if I can finish this and then be able to tell quality.
You
I don't know if
won't,
it's just gonna sap
but
my
you still have to
ability
keep
judge
going.
Things.
There's just so much.
So much. He's just like Otto the best at your age, and he's just like, this kid is amazing. What's going? Oh my goodness. I'm like, where's the conflict? By chapter 1 in One Piece, we had established that there are a lot of pirates. Luffy wants to be the best. This is just like, this dude is already the best. Everyone loves him. Oh, he's a little naive, but everybody loves him.
Oh, literally everyone, any fucking girl his age that comes up, just dripping.
Seriously, he's doing that speech to the school, and then just everybody just blushing. I'm like, are you even trying with this? You're not even writing. It's just nothing.
Literally, like, you feel like he couldn't possibly do another stereotype. Oh, sir, you would be wrong. It's
So yeah, I was just like, wow.
It's
yeah, I'm
baffling.
like, okay, Mike is just exaggerating.
nope, not at all, not in the slightest. Okay, so with that, we will end this episode of the podcast of stuff. Next week, guys, DA story time.
Oh yeah.
Hold on to your britches for a week. Shit's about to be cray cray.
Oh, stop! Like, you're making my fucking brain hurt.
You dig?
Okay, thanks, folks. Later.
Bye.